Welcome to Polyglot Podcast. I'm Christian from Finland, and today we have Tolfak from Nigeria, with whom we will talk about her language background and also about the linguistical situation in Nigeria, where she's from. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, so I found you on Twitter. I saw you share a lot of language-related content, and I thought it would be interesting to talk to you. So first of all, what's your native language?
Okay, so my native language is Yoruba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my sisters is married with a Nigerian, and my brother-in-law also speaks Yoruba as native language. So
Oh, that's
yeah, funny coincidence.
yeah.
Can you tell us where Yoruba in Nigeria is mostly spoken? Is there certain regions?
Okay, yes. Yoruba is mostly spoken in the southwest of Nigeria. That's about 6 states, because here we use like states.
Yeah.
So we have about 6 states that speak Yoruba. Am I like 6? Yes.
Yeah.
So, but outside of Nigeria, we have others who speak Yoruba as a native language. Countries like Benin Republic, like Benin Republic. We have even in Brazil, we have native Yorubas, in Cuba and some other countries like that. So Yoruba is not particularly a Yoruba, a Nigerian language, but in
Oh,
Nigeria it's just the West. Yes, and it's
okay.
also an official language here.
Yeah, total. So was it around 30, 40 million people who speak it? Can you remember? Or
I don't know specifically.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of the most spoken languages in West Africa.
Yeah. And more about Nigeria. I know also like the three big ones are Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo.
Igbo, yes.
Was Hausa in the north more in,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Igbo was it? Where was Igbo? I don't remember which part.
So Igbo is like in the east. It's mostly towards the east.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But there are
Yeah.
oh sorry.
Yeah.
But there
Continue.
are yeah, okay. But there are others like in between. So the reason why those ones are not so spoken about, because they're like minority languages. There are about 500 of them. Yeah. But those three, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, are like dominating.
Yeah, that's what I heard because I've seen the like top five countries with the most linguistical diversity. I think it's Papua New Guinea, then Indonesia, and then third was it India, and then Nigeria. Anyways, I've seen that Nigeria is like definitely in the top five, and
Yes.
I was wondering how do you see the minority language in everyday life, and also in your family's case. Do your parents, your grandparents all speak Yoruba, or do some of them also speak some minority languages?
Okay, so my family is a mix of two major languages, Yoruba and Igbo.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't really have contact with the minority languages, but it's like here you can on an average, if you go out, you are going to like meet people that speak at least 5 languages in a day, five
Yeah,
different languages
yeah,
at a minimum. And yeah, but the only thing is that most people will just speak pidgin to you or Yoruba, because I'm in the southwest. So I hear even those who don't speak Yoruba speak it, but in my family it's just Yoruba and Igbo.
okay. And what's your hometown called?
So my hometown, Lagosian.
Yeah,
So all I know is about Lagos, but I think my family is like they're not really Lagos based,
yeah.
but I grew up here, so I can claim Lagos and all of that. But there's another state I'm originally supposed to be from, which is Ekiti. So
Okay.
Yoruba is, in as much as Yoruba is one language, something really fascinating about Yoruba that I have discovered is that there are so many dialects. And the dialects of like the different Yoruba speakers in Nigeria alone can be quite confusing. As a native speaker, sometimes I hear some dialects and I'm like, I don't understand you. Are you speaking Yoruba?
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah, yes.
Yeah. Maybe you can now like teach us a few things in Yoruba, some like basic stuff like greetings and introducing yourself.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
something you say like greeting a hi, like a good morning, good day.
Okay, so like to say hi, it's more like we're saying something like not like somewhere between like take care and like I hope you're doing great thereabouts. So
Yeah.
we say something like enle,
Le,
enleo. Yes, enleo is like hi. Yeah.
and
Then
Leo.
yes, enleo. But we have this kind of like tonations. Yoruba is a very tonal language. So
Yeah.
if you don't pronounce something correctly, you can be saying something very different. So,
Oh,
but
okay.
yes, but to say good morning is going to be like e taro. Yes, then
Taro.
no, it's okay. E caro.
E caro.
Yes, that's perfect. Then in the afternoon is like e cason.
E cason.
Yes. Then the evening is like e crole.
E
E
crole.
yes. Yeah. So that's like and when you say good evening, it's almost like you're saying good night. Yeah. Then but most times instead of saying good night, we just say stuff like odaro, like see you tomorrow, something like that. Yeah. So it's
Odaro.
odaro. Yes. And then thank you is eshe.
What?
Eshe. Thank you to
Yeah.
show appreciation. You also like eshe.
Eshi.
Yeah, so Yoruba is like we have this thing of respect. So we don't just refer to anybody with because I don't know how to put it. Okay, English is not like that. English is quite
So you
different
have
because
the
English comes,
polite
yeah.
form is like in
Eh,
Spanish, tú, usted, like the same way.
yes, exactly. Yes, for Spanish. So we kind of like use like by default use like usted for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like we're just saying So that's why we say crole, caston. It's a form like it's a very formal way to say
Okay.
it, but it's also a way of showing respect. But if you're talking to someone who's like your friend and then you don't want to be, too respectful thereabout, it's going to be like just O. And most times we don't just add the O. So instead of saying a caro, it should just be caro, crole.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
so something
understood.
like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
in Yoruba, you have, was it two tones, like the rising and like declining tone, or a rising and falling tone, or do you have more than two?
Yeah, I think we have more than two, but like our accent marks are just like three, and then they're like
Yeah.
musical notes.
Yeah.
Do, re, mi. That's basically it, do, re, mi. But like re is virtually like it's impossible. It's impossible. It's invisible. You can't see it. So you just use the do, which goes to the left, and re, which goes to the right, mi, which goes to the right, I guess. So that just shows like how, because when you speak Yoruba, it's almost like you're like reciting musical notes, because if you mispronounce something, you can be saying another thing. For instance, I don't know if you permit me to go into this example.
Yeah, you
But
can go on, yeah.
okay, so there's this word Ogun, Ogun.
Ogun.
So yes, so how you pronounce it now, you just pronounce as a medicine, as a medication rather. So if you say Ogun, you can talk about 20. The number 20 is also Ogun.
Yeah.
Ogun also means war. Ogun also means a state here. Ogun also means like a spell. Yes. So it has like so many meanings. You just have to be careful of how you're pronouncing it.
Can you show
So
the
that's
differences when you pronounce them differently?
okay. So if I say Mo fẹ́ ra ogun. It means I need to get some medicines. That's ogun. It's like very flat.
Yeah.
But then if I'm like, ogun wa, it means like there's war. So
Yeah.
that was like both notes, like ogun is like high, and then I'm like naira ogun. That's like 20 because the currency here is naira, so naira ogun is like 20 naira, and that's like it's in between high and flat, so that's like naira ogun.
Yeah.
And then I want to say ogun. Ogun is like someone like pounded something, to pound something. So ogun dada. So you pounded it well. For instance, you pounded as a meal with pounds of like ogun dada. So it's like there's so many. You just have to be careful how you pronounce it. So that's what the accent mark just differentiates. So if you see two going towards the left, you know, okay, you're probably talking about the 20, or you're talking about the state. And then ogun also means now ogun also means properties.
Okay. Oh my God, so many meanings.
Yes, and then there's so many words like that.
Yeah, have you heard the Chinese example, like with ma, like ma, 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 like they have different meanings because one is hemp, one is horse, one is mom, and one is like a question particle. And the last one I can't remember, but I guess it's a bit similar because in Yoruba you have to have the correct tones.
That's really nice. But do you have words like that in Finnish?
No, we don't have tones, but we have words that are the same. For example, because we have something, you know, have you studied any languages which have like grammatical cases?
Grammatical cases?
Like nominative, genitive, dative.
No. I don't think I have.
Have you studied German?
No, just French, Spanish.
Yeah. They don't have cases, but Finnish has like 15 cases. So sometimes the basic form is nominative, but sometimes when you declinate the word, that might resemble the basic form of a word. And something that you have to pay attention to is in Finnish we have a lot of like double consonants. So for example, if you say I'm meeting him, if you make a mistake and don't have double P and just one P, then you say I'm killing him.
Oh wow.
So like minä tapan hänet or minä tapan hänet. So tapan tapan. Oh no, not double P. I mean this is like the long vowel, but we also have like examples where the double consonant. So you always have to know if it's a double consonant or long vowel or a short one. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice. That's interesting.
So you grew up speaking Yoruba with both of your parents, or you said it's a mix of Yoruba and Igbo. Was your other parent speaking Yoruba and the other one Igbo, or?
Okay. No. So I actually grew up speaking English first.
Yeah.
So, but like I was exposed to my native language. I just could not speak it. Also because then I think there was this perception that it was like not cool to speak one's native language. So in my house it was forbidden to speak Yoruba. So but I would hear people around speak Yoruba to me and I couldn't understand. But I was always spoken to in English. But my grandparent, that's my dad's mom, she is the one who's Igbo. So from time to time I hear her speak Igbo and I got to like pick some words, but it just was never spoken to me. And then another dialect of Yoruba, which is quite different, which is my mom's. I hear her speak it. So like now I have some languages, some dialects that I understand but I cannot speak. So I can understand when it say it, but it was like later, after a while, I started speaking Yoruba, and then I picked up my language, and now I speak both. But Yeah.
Okay, when was it and why?
Okay. So this was because I was in boarding school, and then I realized that if we had people who were not Yorubas, who were from the Igbo sides, and my boarding school was a mix of, different tribes. And then we had people speak my own language
Yeah,
more than me. So I had
yeah.
instances where they would say things about me, and I could not, make a comment or say something, and then they made fun of me for not being able to speak my own language. So when
Oh,
I
yeah.
got home, I told my parents we have to start speaking Yoruba, and I was like 12 thereabout. Yeah, so that's how started speaking Yoruba, and now I kind of like enjoy it more.
So your parents then started speaking Yoruba
Yes,
with
so
you.
but sometimes now we still speak English, but most times it's like Yoruba, English. So we just have like a mix, or sometimes like mix the codes.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good. In my brother-in-law's case, he said he wanted to speak English mostly, but his parents insisted that they speak Yoruba. So,
Wow.
um, what about nowadays? Has it changed? Like, do people respect more their native languages instead of only speaking English, or does it still exist this attitude that people
Oh,
prefer speaking
I
English?
think I think it has changed. It has quite changed. Like it's like now most people want to embrace their roots. They want to um like embrace the beauty of the language. I think for me, apart from like my experience in boarding school that made me pick up my language, what was the turning point for me that made me to really enjoy my language, learning my language, was when I started learning languages. It like kind of helped me appreciate my own language. When
Yeah.
I started with French, I then, because I went deep into French, and then I'm like, wait, my language, I saw similarities as I
Yeah.
comparing. And then I saw things like with Chinese, though I haven't really studied Chinese. It's like, something
Yeah.
for the books
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I realized that Chinese, like in terms of tonality, it shares a lot with like Yoruba. So for me, it was like it just helped me really appreciate Yoruba and learn it more now.
Yeah. Was French your first foreign language, or um,
Yes. Well,
because
English was, but
I guess English doesn't
yeah,
count because you were speaking English with your family
yes,
members. So
yes,
I guess French. Was it
yes, right.
in school or where?
Well, it was during the pandemic, during the lockdown. I was bored, so I had tried different things. I tried learning different things. I learned so many skills, but I just was not feeling satisfied. And I was like,
Yeah.
language, let's just try it. And then I picked up French, but I've always had this thing for the French language before. Then I sometime during my days during my first degree, I tried to learn French on Duolingo, and then I just could not continue. I
Why?
gave up in like a week. I don't know. I was quite busy, and there was no motivation. I just liked the language, and then I just dumped it. But during the pandemic, I felt like that boredom really like drive me to like just pick up something and then devote time with it. So when I spent time learning French, I got the basics. There was
Yeah.
this, I was like, I felt like I had found something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I had that feeling right before I got into grammar, and then
Yeah. 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 How did
so
you
yeah, but
study
I
French?
yeah. What?
How did you study? If you didn't
Okay,
use
so
Duolingo, was it YouTube, or what resources did you use?
yeah, I use more of YouTube. So I realized quite early enough that grammar was not really my strong point. So
Yeah.
when I want to learn languages, I tend to like start very small. I can look for like how do I put this? I mostly go to YouTube, and I don't watch videos on how to conjugate verbs, how to do this. No, I will probably look for a cartoon for like beginners, and then short books. I get like free PDFs on like one website, and then I look at the short books, and then I'm comparing words with my. I'll use Google Translate to start, and then when I compare these words, I'm slowly building up my little vocabulary, and before you know it, I look for because I watch cartoons a lot. It has helped me with French, with Spanish. And then I kind of like find series or stuff for beginners about actual actual conversations, not some grammar lessons. So I use that YouTube extra French. That's the extra episodes French.
Yeah.
I think there's a Spanish version, English version, and some other languages. So it was a good start for me. And then I turn on the caption, and then I am able to read, like follow what they're saying, and look at it, and then write down words I don't know, and then I kind of like keep going that way until I feel like I'm quite comfortable with that. Then I have to look for something different. Then I can look for podcasts, faith-related podcasts that challenge my listening. And then I really enjoy Duolingo podcast, the one that shares stories, Duolingo's podcast. So they kind of like tell native kind of stories, and it kind of like exposes me to the culture. And then so I just go that way, and that's how so I don't really spend too much time with grammar, except I prepare for language exams. That's the only time I spend time with grammar. Yeah.
So the best resource you mentioned, was it Extra French?
Yes, Extra French. Yes, but it's on YouTube, basically YouTube.
Yeah. Do you watch any street interviews? Because I like a lot. Easy languages, easy French,
easy French, easy Spanish. Yes, I watched that too. Yes.
Yeah.
But I also, when I get to intermediate level, I think I switched to Netflix. Then I start watching actual movies. Yeah. So I loved a lot of French series like 10%. Which other one? Jusqu'ici tout va bien. And then the Spanish ones I watched as well. I just cannot quite remember all the titles right now. I think some channels are quite good for like on YouTube, cartoon channels. Like we have MSA French, MSA Spanish, MSA German, MSA Portuguese. I don't know which, if it's Brazilian Portuguese or Portugal, but these MSA is like cartoon, but they're in different languages. So if I've watched an episode in English and I see it in French, it kind of like helps me focus more on the words because I know the storyline already. So I just do it that way.
Yeah. Have you practiced speaking also? Have you found like native speakers and where?
Yeah, I think speaking was the hardest part for me. Speaking and writing, because I self-studied. So, but because I'm not really someone who loves to journal like that. So when people say you can write like journals, I'm like, I find it very boring. I can't do it.
Yeah. It's not for everyone.
Yes. So what I do is when I find people who are still learning on like WhatsApp, for instance, I tend to like just chat them up in French, or natives make my mistakes and then they correct me, those who are way ahead of me. So most times I'm writing that way, or I'm taking a message. I already have perhaps an email, because I have more than one email. So when I have an email I received from just a random email in English, then I try to translate it myself and send it to myself. So yeah. But then there are errors in it, of course, and then I kind of like use Google Translate as my yardstick to like find just little errors. And with time I realized that I was doing better than Google Translate, and I don't really like using Google Translate for to make my translations. Now I use Reversal Context. It's still the best translator. I
like it too. It's really good. You see like the example sentences and
exactly.
But I think Google Translate is nowadays really good. It's much better than it used to be.
Really? I guess I'll have to try it again to get convinced. But Reversal kind of like gives me the different ways the words or can be used. So I feel like that's, for me, is still quite good. So, but that's how I do it. Then if I meet with friends, I mean, when I started with French, I didn't really have so much native friends like I do with Spanish now. For Spanish, I had exposure to natives right from the beginning, so it was like way different than my French. So most times I just had to like deal with my errors myself and all of that. And surprisingly, it's been like almost 4 years now. Since the pandemic, so it's like 4 years. And I was able to take, the certification exam, and I'm preparing for the C2 now. I have
Oh, wow.
B2, but yeah,
Yeah.
but that I got to realize that I did not really focus on grammar, but so I got to realize that languages can be learned without necessarily focusing on grammar all the time. So yeah, and I do the same with Spanish, and in I like how it's going, but unlike French, I have exposure to natives from the Latin America, so when I'm making a mistake, they're like, oh, you know what, Tolfak, just tell me when you'll be available for a call, and so we can speak, so and all of that. So well,
Yeah.
before, for speaking, I just read out things. I read out, like, say, what I do, I think the strategy I adopt is I subscribe to email newsletters from like topics that interest me, say self-development. So when I receive these emails in the language I'm learning, I may not necessarily know all the words, but then I try to read it out. I know that's quite boring, but like I do it.
No, it's good if it works for you, then it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do it that
Where
way.
do you find these newsletters? How do you search for them?
Okay, I think what I do is so I think I make a list of topics that interest me. Okay, I love to learn more about storytelling. I love to learn more about psychology, about self-development. And if I don't necessarily know the word, the vocabulary in my target language, I'll check them out on like Google, like how to say psychology in French, for instance. How then I realize the psychology, then I'm like, okay, this word. Then I go to like Instagram, and then I look for like people that talk about these things. And the good part about the algorithm on social media is that once you get one page, and you are constantly going through the
Yeah.
content, it recommends more
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I think, yeah, so they always have like newsletters, subscribe to our newsletter, get our products and all of that stuff. And then I just subscribe randomly, so that I'm not interested, not necessarily in the service, but to be able to read.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, and then read those out.
that's really good. So basically, you search the topics you're interested, and then, for example,
Yeah.
in French, you start following a psychology newsletter
Yeah.
that's actually meant for French people who are
Yeah.
interested in psychology. So they don't even know some people are there to learn about
Exactly.
psychology, about like in French. That's that's a really good way. I haven't heard actually from anyone else
Yeah.
about this. So
I think it's actually quite natural.
yeah,
If I go and look for like reading content for like intermediate learners, I can't do that from the beginning. I can just, look for short stories for beginners. But like when I have to like do that as an intermediate learner, if I look for something that's intermediate related, they may try to like, dilute it so that, it's like friendly for intermediate learners. But I want something natural. So
yeah,
I can see how it's like, yeah, because I don't want a situation where I've never left my country, where I get to the country where the language is spoken. I know there will still be, culture shocks and all of that. I don't want it to be so, too serious. I want to have been exposed to
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
native
Sure.
content. Yeah. So, and then I think I also use the Bible. Yes. So I have this app, YouVersion. So it gives me like Bible recommendation in French, in Spanish, in Arabic. I'm not so used to the Arabic version for now, but like that. And then there's an option where I can like compare the version in French and English. So if I don't understand the word, I'm seeing the English version and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what this word means. And then I can press a button, and then the Bible's being the chapter is being read out loud, so I can read along, and it's quite
Oh,
slow.
okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
so it's a good way to like listen and speak at the same time.
yeah,
Practice pronunciations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bible and holy books in general are quite good. I
Mhm.
actually started in Russian reading the Bible. Of course, I've read the Bible as when I was young because
Uh-huh.
my family members are Christians. I'm not. I don't belong to any religion anymore, but I like to
Oh,
read like different holy texts like Quran, Bible, like the uh, Buddhist texts and the Tao Te Ching. Was it lay? Uh, what was it? Confucianism and Taoism. Yeah, yeah, like all those books, and
Wow.
I think especially yeah, Bible has so many translations that it's really
Yes. Yeah.
good for language learners as well.
Mhm.
Uh, so French was your first foreign language. So have you started all of the other ones after French?
Yeah, I studied Spanish right after. That was like 2 years after when I felt much more confident in French. I think I spent more time on French because it was the very first one.
Yeah.
But my Spanish has been like a year plus now, and I'm somewhere around B2. And now I recently started Arabic, but
Yeah.
because I am learning the standard version, it's not been easy. It's not been easy because it's like I have Arab friends who are like, no, you have to learn Fusha, which is like the standard version. And I'm not advised to learn, a dialect because I think there's so many dialects of Arabic, and many a times if you speak one dialect, you might not be able to understand others, clearly. So
Yeah.
sometimes I struggle with finding, beginner content, compared to like Latin written words, like in Finnish, in English and the likes, you can easily not like easily per se, but like you can look at it and I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but Arabic, if you don't understand the characters,
Yeah.
I mean calligraphy rather, you don't understand it. So, and it's one thing to understand what it means, like how it's pronounced. It's another thing to understand the
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so for me it's been like that, and I've had friends, but who have advised me to get the Quran to practice, but I don't think I'm at that level yet, where I can read that way, but
Oh
I'm
my God!
still.
See, the Arabic and Quran is like it's even what I've heard so much further from the modern standard Arabic, the formal Arabic
Yeah,
of the current days, because most of
yeah.
the Arab speakers have also said they don't even understand all the words because it's so much different than
Mhm.
their colloquial Arabic
Yeah, so
dialect.
that's what I hear too. But some of my friends have told me that if I learn the standard version, it's what is used in schools, informal conversations, and all of those things. And I can understand all type of Arabs if I learn the standard version. The only difference is in when I want to have conversations, I might
Yeah.
have to pick a dialect to
Mm.
learn. So I have not come to a conclusion on what dialect I want to learn. So I'm just like, I would
Yeah.
stick with the standard version because
Yeah.
on one part, I want to learn, I think, Masri. That's like the Egyptian dialect, because of, the Egyptian history, culture. I'd like to explore that. And another end, I love the Levant dialect. That's I don't know what's it's called specifically, but Levantine, what's spoken in Palestine, Lebanon,
Syria.
Jordan, and the like. Exactly. So, and then I also want to learn the Emirati dialect because I
Oh, okay.
have friends. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's a lot. Yeah, so I'm just trying to stay with the standard version. It's not been easy, but I have a teacher now. So though she speaks Darija, she's from Morocco, but she's helping me with the standard version, and then she's so I think I struggle with pronunciation of the sounds because there's so many sounds that are like alien to me. It's
Which
not
ones are the
um,
hardest ones for you? Is it the
um
Ein,
yeah.
Rein, or
Yeah, there are two. There's
yeah,
ein, and then there's rein, and then
yeah.
there is what's this one again? There is cough, and then there's like
Oh yeah, yeah. Qaf. Yeah,
yes, cough.
that's
The
also
cough.
hard.
Yeah, so those sounds. Each time I pronounce them in class, I laugh at myself. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that even when I mispronounce them, I make mistakes and I want to start laughing. She's like, "Don't worry about it. Just continue. I understand you." And yeah, so it's been like that. But I think I want to get to. I'm giving myself like 2-3 years to get to intermediate level with Arabic.
Oh wow, that's
But yeah. So,
ambitious
but in the
because
meantime,
you already have other languages, so it's I think it gets harder when you add all like more and more languages to like reach next levels in the new languages.
yeah. So I'm just giving like that gap So
Yeah.
I think I want to pick up another language in between, but I'm not going to
Oh,
pick up
okay, yeah.
yes. So I'm not going to pick up a language with a very different writing system. No, 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 no. Because I
Yeah.
know, that's like, yeah. So I might pick up Swahili or Italian.
Yeah.
One of the two.
So
Yeah, but
no Finnish as an alternative.
know I have a lot. I have a lot, like a full bucket list of languages, and Finnish
Yeah.
is definitely in there. It's somewhere in there, but I cannot learn all languages at once. So
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm tempted to start Portuguese because, by virtue of speaking Spanish, I kind of like have this little understanding of like Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah.
When I see content in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, I kind of can understand. I can understand it. I may not be able to say it, but I get the point, but not the words. I don't understand each word, but I get like the main idea of the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and Italian too, something similar, but I think based on French and Spanish together. So I want something that goes in that pattern. So I have more time to focus on Arabic, and then I can now pick up Chinese, Finnish,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Swedish, and so many other languages like that. I even want to learn Igbo.
Oh,
I
you
don't know
also
when.
want to learn Igbo.
Yes, yes, I
Mm.
want to connect to the other part of my roots.
What about any other languages, like the smaller minority languages of Nigeria?
The small languages of Nigeria, I think the only one that kind of like, like maybe because of being my friends, is Tiv. Tiv, Tiv. Tiv is like spoken in like the I think the middle belt. I don't really can't really place the geographical
Yeah.
thingy, but yeah, there's a language called Tiv, and then it's spoken by the people of Benue State. I have friends from there who are quite, they're really, really nice persons. So it's like I have this thing to kind of like learn their language and about their culture as well. Um, so yeah, that's another language I want to learn. It's a minority language in Nigeria. Then there are some other ones that when I hear them, I'm like, oh, I want to learn this language, but no,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to learn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think? Do you know how much learning material there is in Nigeria for different languages? Because you have, like, the figure I saw was 300, but you mentioned 500. But anyways, something between 300 to 500 languages. What, if you can remember in the bookstores or somewhere, for which languages do you have language resources available?
I
Of
know
course,
that
the
language.
big three, but
Uh-huh.
besides them,
Okay, I've seen things that's cover some of the minority language. Like the Tiv I mentioned now. Tiv, I have seen Tiv literature books before. Yes, I have seen Tiv literature books. I've seen some which were actually written in English, but it kind of like conveys the culture, yeah. But and then I have seen in this Bible app I talked about, I have come across T Bible before. So I was like, oh my God, this is really this
yeah,
is really nice. So yes, so I have seen it, and then I've seen languages like Fulfulde. Yes, I have seen little materials on them, but most of these other languages, the finding resources to learn them can be quite tedious,
okay,
because
yeah,
yeah, they're not really popular. So, almost everybody here is talking about Yoruba. Even beyond the Nigerian shores, we have people who listen to Afrobeats and then talk about Yoruba. They want to learn Yoruba and all of this stuff. But these other languages, so when you listen to these songs that you like, it's easy for you to learn Yoruba. But these other languages, we don't have people who actually sing with them or create YouTube videos, for instance. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
can
yeah.
be hard.
I guess it's a bit similar as here with the Sami languages. Although
Oh,
they have programs on TV and like social media creators. Not that much, but they have a bit. And I've taken classes actually in Northern Sami. It's one of the 9 existing or living Sami languages. It's spoken only by 40,000 people, so it's the biggest of them. Like the remaining 8, they have like between 1 and 1,000 speakers, so they are quite small ones. And most of the material that exists is usually from Finnish, Swedish, or Norwegian. So
Oh,
you can't find that much from English. In Nigeria, is it mostly from English, or is it like from Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa to the smaller minority languages?
okay, so it's like they're very independent. Most of these languages are independent of each other. So it's not like they are one flowing into each other. I mean, we have for Yoruba alone, there are like numerous dialects that sound very different from what
Yeah.
I believe is Yoruba. So, and then apart from this, and these dialects, actually, the dialects are influenced by contact with other languages. But like
Yeah.
this, I can't really say there's no language that's independent.
Yeah.
I can actually put it that way.
Yeah. No,
So it's
I
like
was more meaning about from which language the material exists.
so some people believe that Yoruba and Hausa are from Arabic. I can believe, like, I can actually believe agree with the fact that Hausa has a strong influence of Arabic.
Yeah.
But Yoruba, I doubt it. But then there's this, history that says there was a man who descended from heaven with a script. His name was Lamurudu, and then the scripts were written in Arabic. But then it's also like a founding father of the Yorubas. So that's another part of culture that's like really, And then I look at Yoruba, and then I'm like, how is this related to Arabic? How? So I've not really been able to agree with that, but sometimes I hear that Yoruba is also from Arabic, but Hausa is surely from Arabic. And some other languages were from from African languages, they're similar, intertwined, and one stems from the other, but I'm quite sure Hausa and a bit about Yoruba, but the others, no, I'm not really sure of their roots.
Yeah. Okay, that's about the roots. No, my question was not about the roots, but it's good we
Not like
covered that as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we still have around 10 minutes because
Let me
your
see.
lessons. Yeah. Okay. In your friend circle, are you the only polyglot, or is it common? Well, I guess it's common because you mentioned in the beginning you know people who know many languages. So what would you say in your friend circle, for example, how many languages people usually speak, like in
That
some
depends.
level? It doesn't
Okay.
need to be like all advanced levels.
Oh, okay. So, I think most of my friends are like beginner to intermediates in different languages. Of course, they
Yeah.
have their stronger languages apart from their native languages. They have languages that speak well, but many a times they like speak like 5, 6 languages, and then about 3 or 4 of them they're like beginners in those
Okay.
ones.
Yeah.
And then and they pick up more. They pick up more because they just want to learn too many. But
Yeah.
I think that's how it is basically. But here, my Nigerian friends, many times they're just like trilingual. Yeah, trilingual. I can put it that way.
Yeah.
So they're probably speakers of Yoruba who understand English, who's learning French, or speakers of Yoruba who understand English, learning Korean. So
Oh, okay.
it's like
Yeah.
that, or Spanish. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have like many times they're like, speaking one more, just one more. But then I have a few of them who are probably on their fourth languages and fifth languages. Yeah, like me.
That sounds a bit similar as here, because
Oh,
in Finland, well, not everyone speaks Finnish as their mother tongue. 90%,
oh,
including me, speaks Finnish as their mother tongue. So Finnish speakers usually speak also English, and then the third language is usually Swedish, which we have to learn in school because it's the second official language of Finland. But practically
nice.
most of the people, they study Swedish, but they cannot have a conversation. But in theory, everyone should know these three. And usually people also have studied a fourth or fifth language. They might be beginners, but usually when I think about my friends, almost everyone has had at least one or two beginner classes in fourth or fifth languages. So it sounds a bit similar as what you have in Nigeria.
Yeah, so French is actually an official language, but not really official. I'm not really, yeah, because in schools we have to learn French, but I think, I don't know how
Really? Is it mandatory?
Yes, actually, in elementary school to high school, up until high school, you have to take French. But
Wow.
let me say 90% of the time, 90% of people I meet that went through this process hate it. They don't bother. Yeah, so it's not like they even they understand it. They don't understand it. It's like they forget about everything as soon as they're done with high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like for me, I had to start again during pandemic because I just did not remember. I hated it in high school. I must say I hated French in high school, elementary school. I hated French, but
yeah. Okay, can you shortly talk about the Nigerian school system, like shortly, like when do you start school and what ages do you have to start learning different languages? Like whether it's mandatory or optional. Like you can tell in your case, in your school, for example, how it was.
Okay, so I think for a start, there's no specific age you start schooling. We've had people start schooling like 2, 3 years about. I think I started about 1.5. That's what I was told. So, but then I don't think you're allowed to learn any language apart from English until you get to like the basic classes after the kindergarten thereabout. That's when you can start with and then of course you're learning English, sure, but depending on your geographical location, if you're, for instance, where I am now, the Southwest, you would pick Yoruba as the Nigerian language you learn there, whether you're native or not. But if you're in the East, then Igbo is the language, and if you're in the North, Hausa is the language. So they don't necessarily pick, they don't care about minority languages in school like that. No.
Yeah.
So it's the major ones. So you have to learn one, even if you're a native or not. And then when you're getting towards high school, yes, high school, that's when the first 3 years of high school you're going to be taking. Of course, you take a primary living certificate before you can go to high school. Then in high school, everybody takes courses on the sciences, the arts, and then it's usually divided into 3: science, commercial, and arts. But it's not really enforced until when you're in the senior years in the high school, which is about 3 years. So high school is 6 years, 3 junior, 3 senior. Yeah. But the junior, everyone takes science courses, biology, not called biology then, it's called basic sciences, and like all the subjects together. But as soon as we're like done with, you take a junior like school certificate, yes, junior school certificate, JSC. Once you take that, then you choose if you want to go fully into the sciences, if you want to go into arts, the commercial. So it's like commercial, like those who want to go into like business administration, thereabouts, marketing, and the arts, because those ones. And then so you'll spend 3 years in those arms, and then in this, when you get to the senior year, that's when most people don't just forget about languages because if you're going to the sciences, the only language you have to bother about is English. If you're going to, I don't know, you think they change it from like they changed the format. So I don't know if what I'm saying is still very much current. Yeah, but that saying is based on my timing. So, but those in the sciences don't have to bother about language. They just have to take only English. But in the arts, we bother about French, we bother about Yoruba, but English is compulsory. So you have a choice, an option to choose French or Yoruba.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
yes,
And then all the subjects are taught in English, like geography, the arts
everything
and
is
science,
English.
everything.
Everything
Okay,
in
yeah.
English.
And then
Yeah.
Yoruba is only like a few hours every week, like mother tongue classes or something like that.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah, but in junior secondary school, you have to do everything. So there we have Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. So, but then the three of them are optional.
Yeah.
Like you must pick one, but you have to pick anyone. So surprisingly, I didn't pick Yoruba, I didn't pick Hausa, I did Igbo. So, but I kind of like enjoyed the Igbo classes. So, and for some reason, still date, I still remember I feel like things were taught there. Those like little words.
Yeah.
But I kind of like enjoyed it. So,
Yeah.
but then when you get to the other years, not much people do language. Just those in the arts have to bother about Yoruba or French. No more
Okay.
Igbo, no. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to mention before concluding the episode. So there's one
Okay.
surprising connection between Finland and Nigeria. It's
Oh,
through the state of Biafra that was
Biafra. Yes,
independent
yes,
in 1967 to 1970, like 3 years.
yes, yes,
So
Biafra.
their national anthem, the tune was the Finlandia tune, composed by our biggest composer in our history, Jean Sibelius. So I found out that,
Oh, that's
they had the
interesting.
tune, but they had, of course, different lyrics. But the tune was
Lyrics. Oh,
made by a Finn, which was
that
surprising.
that's interesting because I'm just learning that. It's quite interesting to know that it was the Igbos that were, fighting for Biafra
Oh,
then.
okay.
Well, yes, it was the Igbos that wanted to
Yeah.
go Biafra. But that's interesting. I didn't know it was, similar to Finland's anthem. That's really nice.
Yeah, I don't know how they picked specifically this one, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. Any final words you want to tell our listeners now?
Um, okay. I think I would just say, okay, based on learning languages, I think I would just say things like learning is usually basically at different paces. You try not to compare your journey to anyone's journey, and then what works for one person might not necessarily work for you. So many times when we try to learn, we might want to like, learn from, this polyglot said I did this, I did this, I did this, different persons. So I think just, take it slowly, and yeah, you would be able to eventually achieve your language learning goals.
Yeah, thanks. Great message. And thanks
Mhm.
for everyone for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. So, bye.
Bye.